Welcome to From the Driver's Seat, an Averitt podcast for all Averitt associates to keep up with news and information across our network. Make sure to subscribe on your preferred podcasting app so you'll be sure to be notified the moment a new episode drops. And now, Director of Driver Services and hosting From the Driver's Seat, David Broyles.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. We got a great podcast today, and we're going to talk about on-tour logistics, the OTL group within Averitt Express. It's a great thing. We've got two folks with us here today. Hey, how you doing, Scott?
I'm doing well.
And how are you doing, Scott?
I'm great.
We've got Scott and Scott from OTL with us this morning, and looking forward to talking to y'all and learn a little bit about OTL, talk about the uniqueness, I guess, of OTL, and talk about some of that stuff. Scott, you're a driver, right?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been driving with OTL now?
I'm going on my 7th year.
Seventh year
with Averitt and 7th year with OTL.
So you've been there for how long have we had OTL going now, Scott?
Officially almost 11 years.
11 years. So you're one of the senior guys on OTL with 7 years in, right? You're one of the most senior. They've been there for a while, right?
Yes, sir.
Obviously, OTL is a niche. It's a niche market, really, but what makes it different that makes you like it over other opportunities?
I pretty much can plan my entire year. It's on a tour, pretty much when it starts, when it ends. There may be a change here, show cancels or something like that, but it's a steady paycheck for that duration and stuff. They have what they call, when you're on long tour, like this year, mine's going to be 4 months long, the long tour portion of it. So I know for that 4 months, I'm going to get the same paycheck every week for that 4 months.
It pays really well. It pays extremely well. It's like a salary, right? It's not based on your mileage, right?
It is, and if you have a down week that time and they need help on another tour, you could either get extra money doing a co-drive, you could get extra money doing a one-off is what they call, maybe a weekend show and stuff, so you get double dip for money there. So there's pros to it. I love it for that reason. You get to see a lot more of the country that you don't normally see with truckload and stuff, but it's a great job. Like I said, hours they're pretty much steady. You're either going to be driving during the day or at night. Normally you'll start out at night, headed to the next show, because of course all the concerts normally happen.
Take us through a look. What happens? Let's say, okay, you're starting out on the concert and you leave out from Nashville maybe?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you leave out. Go through like a week maybe of the first tour, or what happened. Okay. From a driver perspective, what do you do?
Well, normally when you start, you'll pick up gear and stuff in Nashville, everything that you need for the tour, and then they'll have your schedule for that week, all your stops that you're going to have that week. All right, you may start in Nashville. Your first show is in Jacksonville, Florida. So you'll load in Nashville, go to Jacksonville, Florida, and then you'll load in probably 8 o'clock. If you left on Monday, be there by Wednesday, load in Wednesday morning, say 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, just depending on that. Get unloaded, grab breakfast, lay down, take a nap, and then get ready to get back up, normally around 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, depending on what time the show is over. Start loading the truck up, and then head to your next show.
When you say load the truck up, you don't actually load the truck though, right?
No, we strap and secure and stuff. It's our responsibility, because once you pull it out of that dock, if something moves or damaged, then you've got to answer to corporate and to the customer what's going on. So
I've heard very little of that kind of stuff damaged. That doesn't happen
very little.
Very seldom, right?
We do have to be careful. Physically we're there to supervise and assist. Everything that we haul is on wheels, so it has to be strapped in properly, load bars, things like that. But like Scott said, there's a team of other people that'll load it, but we strap it and secure it, because when they close the doors, it's our responsibility. But we have very little problems with that, and go to the next place, unload it, and do the exact same thing again.
And you pretty much you're not going to learn it the first day or the second day. Probably after a week, the beginning of the next week, you're going to know how it packs. It's going to pack the same every time, unless you've got a show that say they're not using part of the PA stuff. It'll stay on the truck and stuff, but they'll give you a pack plan for it. You've got people within the crew of the artists and stuff that'll call the pack for you at times and all, but it's pretty much easy. It's just follow the steps and go from there. And then I like the country acts better, because I normally do 3 shows a week. There's other acts I did Need to Breathe back at the end of last year and stuff, and it's from show to show to show. So there's different stuff there. is basically the two different ones, and then you've got some shows that you run on recap, so you have to learn that, and you have to be careful if they say, hey, we need you to pull up so this truck can get in or whatever. You got to watch your clock and make sure you don't kick into overdrive or on duty or stuff,
right,
to make sure you got your 10-hour break in, because if you got an 8-hour drive and you started it, it can cause issues.
Right.
There's a little more detail. It's not like a truckload thing. It's like, okay, well, we're not going to make it there tonight because there's an accident or something. You can't say, well, we'll deliver it in the morning.
Yeah.
And all. So those are the things that you have to be aware of. You have to plan ahead your route and stuff. Shortest route. You may have to go an extra 15 miles reroute or something if there's a wreck or a road closure or something like that, and then just learn. You'll do chains and stuff a lot more on that, especially this time of year when you go out west.
Right.
And all, but just be aware of what you need to do and make sure you have a plan and follow it and be adaptable.
One thing I've had drivers over the past that's talked to me about, and you're talking about the tours, and a lot of times there's more than one truck on a tour, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And some of the tours, I know this year is going to be 30 trucks on a tour, close to it, right?
32 for
32
one.
32 trucks on one. I think so. There's some really large groups, and then there's some 5 or 6 trucks and 2 trucks and things like that. And I've heard drivers talk about liking the camaraderie.
Yes.
With the, they build friendships with those folks because they run the same tours. A lot of them run the same tours every year, right?
And you almost become an extended family in that sense, and which even when you come into OTEL, you're like a family. It's to help each other out and stuff. People may call you up if you've worked with them, and they're like, "Hey, I've got this one off run." Like I did. Jake was my first tour when I came, and then the lead driver asked me, he's like, "Well, what's your schedule for?" And then went down for the foundation show in Florida to help him out. So it's kind of like making an acquaintance or something, and it can come back and help you. Hey, I didn't have anything scheduled there, so it goes to help you out. So it just makes it a lot easier, and a lot of the crew that's still there, they're like, "Oh, welcome back." It's like you never left. And all. So it's great.
Drivers go out, and you got 5 or 6 drivers on a tour, but one of those guys is going to be in charge, right? We got a lead driver, maybe?
Yes, he'll be the experienced driver, and he will take a new driver that doesn't have any experience, and they can lean on them and show them the ropes. And the guys and gals that we have some of them, like Scott, 7, 8, 9, 10 years experience, and we have some with just a few days experience. It could be their first run. We do try to show them everything that we can in the orientation class. We try to give them a heads up so they're not going out there cold. We give them all the information that we can, and then we do send them out with an experienced driver, and they can learn the ropes that way. And I'm not going to say it's trial by fire, but the best way to learn it is to be out there and do it.
Right.
We can show you everything we can in the classroom, but until you get out there and do it, and most everybody picks it up very quickly.
But and also we've got to support folks. We got folks in corporate that's helping us. And you got you. Explain what you do, Scott, a little bit.
Operations and sales. All of our equipment is based at the OTL yard in Nashville. We're 2 miles from the Nashville Service Center. That's where all of our trailers are. Of course, our warehouse there with our storage lockers are there. Majority of our tours are based out of Nashville. All of our vendors, from sound, light, video, staging, all the band's equipment, majority of that is in Nashville. So that's where a majority of that'll start, and that's where I'm based out of. So, fly around as needed. We'll go drive as needed and do a team drive every now and then. So
you've got more than just you at Nashville, right? There's a couple folks.
Yes,
right?
I do have 2 full-time guys now that do strictly local driving in Nashville. I'm looking for a 3rd guy and then a 4th guy. So anybody that's based out of Nashville want to do some local OTL, I need at least a couple more guys for that. So Nashville, there's a concert in Nashville 7 days a week. And then you got all kind of award shows, you got festivals, you got different type of events with the convention center. So we stay pretty busy in Nashville just from a local standpoint. But having all the equipment there, a majority of our vendors are there, and so Nashville's kind of the hub for that. So that's where I'm at, and that's my world.
And that's the key to it. Driver, you've got a lot of support. You're out there driving around all over the country, right, doing different tours, but you've got folks that are back here that help you take care of issues. Breakdowns still happen. You're still going to have the stuff with the trucks, and they help you out and do all that. So you've got support back here, right?
There is. There's lots of support. You got night dispatch. We send emails if we have an issue. It's Averitt OTL dispatch, and that goes to everybody. That goes to safety, our fleet manager, Scott, Jennifer, everybody in the office and stuff. So you're going to get a call from somebody and say, hey, what's going on?
And the other thing, sitting here looking, of course, I've got a red shirt on today, and y'all got black on. I know folks see the black shirts every once in a while. They go, "How come we got some drivers with black on, right?" And black, all your on tour stuff, it's always the black with the red in the back. Yes. But there's a reason it's black too, right?
Sure. I mean, there's two different reasons. One, it doesn't show dirt very much. You might get dirty every now and then, but if you've ever been to a concert and you see any of the crew people that's operating the lights or sound, you want them to be invisible. And so if you're wearing black, you're not going to see them. If they're wearing a neon orange shirt, they're going to stick out like a sore thumb.
Right.
So we kind of take the cues. That's kind of the industry standard of what crew people wear is black. And that way you kind of blend into the background. And we kind of go along with that. It kind of fits in, and we just think it looks good.
It does look good. And, so a driver coming in, he may have just already ordered all his uniforms, for red. And he says, hey, I want to go to OTL in March or February. So what does he have to do about getting uniforms? Because does he get another allowance?
Yes, you get every January 1, you get 150 for red stuff, and you get an additional 150 for OTL uniforms, year after year. And when you come in and decide to join OTL, you come into the orientation class, we get an OTL uniform order that day.
Well, that's pretty good. And the class, you mentioned the class. What is that? What are you talking about, the class? What's that?
It's just an orientation that'll give you basically how life is on the road. What's the difference of touring compared to hauling regular freight? Kind of the ins and outs, a lot of the terminology, the different variances that we do within Averitt that affects OTL. How we, there's a couple of different breakdown procedures that we go through. All the equipment is at the OTL yard, not at a service center. And a lot of the ins and outs of how we do things and why we do things. A lot of the lingo and the terminology, and just kind of, give you a heads up of what to expect when you get out there. We have a radio control backing portion of the class.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I've even talked to drivers. They say, what about that radio control backing? That sounds scary to me.
It's super easy, and the best way I can describe that is every truck driver has been to a shipper or a consignee that you have to blindside around the corner of a building, down a dark alley, out of a road, and you just wish you had somebody back there. Now, if you're on a multiple truck tour, you've got Scott or a lead driver with a handheld radio back there watching you, and he's driving the trailer for you, and you just listen. So you got an extra set of eyes. Sometimes you got 2 or 3 extra set of eyes. So it's a safety feature is all that is, and it's very efficient. It is for safety, and it just makes things go a lot smoother. And then things like that, and we kind of show the different ways to secure the load with the straps and the load bars, because everything that we have rolls. Everything is on wheels, and we don't have forklifts inside the trailer. Everything is unloaded and loaded by hand by the crew people or stagehands, and we show them the different ways of doing that and how to stay safe and do it correctly, because everything that we haul is very high value, so you got to do that correctly as well.
Yeah, so first time you did radio backing, Scott, was you kind of nervous about that when you never done it before?
It's a trust issue. You still want to look in your mirrors and stuff and all. And I tell guys, I said, do that. I said, if you see something and you don't feel comfortable with it, I'm in the back. I may be moving from the left side to the right side to just watch that side for you. Tell me. Get on the CB and say, hey, I think I'm going to hit this. Take a look at it. So.
And the venues are different. I mean, I've obviously seen over the years tough places to back into for customers, but sometimes y'all have some really challenging places to back into for venues. I mean, sometimes I know I've seen them. I guess I don't know if it's Madison Square Gardens where it goes down a tunnel and back up the other side, so you really can't see the back of the trailer when you're. You see all kinds of stuff out there. Y'all get some challenges, but if you got somebody to help you, that's the main thing, right?
It does, and like the biggest tour we'll have this year is 32 trucks, and you've got probably less than 3 hours to get 32 trucks in, unloaded, and out.
Wow.
And you might have 4 to 5 docks. So the more eyes you have, make it work safely and efficiently. So yes, it takes a big group effort to do that.
Big group effort. That's a big group effort, right? Yes. And of course, OTL this year is going to be bigger and stronger than ever, right?
Right. We've got the business.
We've got the business.
We've got the business. Every artist that you can imagine is touring. Crowds are huge. Ticket sales are huge, and everybody's touring. So everybody needs trucks. Scott's done several different events it's not just concerts. We do political events, we do church events, we do conventions.
Do wrestling, right?
We do wrestling, AEW wrestling. So if it has a crowd, we haul it.
All right.
So that's the best way to put it.
Yeah. And, this year, like we talked a little bit a minute ago about this year going to be a big year. And obviously we have a need coming up in March and April, starting March and April in there. We're going to need more drivers than we currently have. And also we're going to need some over maybe 3 weeks at a time, 4 weeks at a time. So what's our needs this year? What are we looking for?
It's hard. I don't really know an exact number that we need, but if any truckloads, dedicated supply chain, any drivers are interested, we're even, now we're opening it up to if you want to, try for a few weeks at a time. We have a lot of need for team drives. We'll fly you to a specific city and you go help a driver drive one shift. Then we'll put you in a hotel room, get your rest, fly you back, back to your truck, your domicile, or wherever. We have a lot of need for team drives. And we have different stretches through late spring and the summer. We might need somebody just for a month. And then if, that's all you want to commit to, you don't have to commit to OTL fully for the whole year, say, hey, I can come out and I can commit to this amount of weeks or days. And then I want to go back to truckload or my account that I'm on is dedicated. So we're opening that up as well. So if anyone is interested in that, reach out to us and let's see what we can do.
Okay. Well, good. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great year. I think overall we're going to have a good year in 2024 for Averitt Express. I think OTL is obviously a part of that, and it's operating extremely well. It's grown in the last 11 years. I think it's been. It's hard to believe it's been 11 years. I remember the first time we ever did this, but. The first driver that was on it was Gary Craighead, and we did the Olivia Newton-John tour way back when. That was we had a lot to learn that day.
We did. He was a one truck tour in the fall of 2012, and that was the first official tour. Then 13, we kicked it off and said, "Here we go."
Yeah, and it's grown ever since, and it's done well. So it's been a really good part of Averitt. It's going to be a part of Averitt for a long time to come, and we're just going to continue to grow that particular business unit in Averitt because it's doing extremely well. So. But I appreciate y'all's time today. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you,
for
Scott. I appreciate it. And folks out there, if you're listening to this today, what we're looking for some help. And if this is something you think that interests you, then we need you to reach out. You can reach out to Driver Services. You can reach out to your leader and say, hey, I want to talk to somebody about OTL. And like Scott said, we're not necessarily looking for somebody that, hey, I want to commit for the whole year. I want to commit for 2 months out of the year or a month of the year or whatever time you want to commit. Reach out to us, talk to us, get your name on the list if you're interested in doing something like this. And I think it'll be interesting for you. I think you'll like it. The folks I've talked to that have been on this account, the drivers are always happy, it seems like. They really enjoy it. So if this is something you think you're interested in, reach out to us, let us know, and give us a call. Thank you so much. We'll see you out on the road.